In today's video, we're going to be comparing two of the most popular TVs in 2021. On the left is the Samsung QN90a, and on the right is the LG C1 OLED. These two TVs are quite breathtaking. Let's take a closer look. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. Now, there's no doubt that both of these TVs are just stunning to look at. The design, the picture quality, they are brilliant. Now, they both cost roughly the same amount of money at the time of doing this video. I will leave links in the description so that you can get a latest price for yourself in your location. But which one is right for you? And what are the good things and what are the bad things? Now, for full disclosure, we have paid full retail value for these TVs. We're not being asked to say anything good or bad about them. There's going to be some things I like, there's going to be some things I dislike. Now, the way that we're able to bring you these completely independent reviews is by you very kindly giving us a thumbs up, commenting in the comment section, and if you are in the market for a TV, using our links in the description to purchase. Right, let's get on and compare these two great TVs. So coming into this video, bear in mind I bought both of these TVs. I definitely still had some preconceptions. I thought that the LG OLED on the right was going to be far better in the black detail level and deliver a more probably just crisp contrast ratio than the Samsung Neo. However, I also thought that the Samsung was going to be significantly brighter and deliver a better image maybe in a bright room, and that was really going to be where I looked at the two differences. But I was absolutely blown away with how good the Samsung does on low level detail with very minimal black crushing. Certainly in this mode, which is filmmaker mode, the blooming level was not too over the top. In some scenes, like here on the hillside, it is a little bit, and definitely the LG is better. But then on other scenes like this, it does a brilliant job, whereas the LG looks a little bit dark. There was also a notable difference in colour temperature between the two TVs. The Samsung definitely felt a little bit warmer, whereas the LG cooler. Now, that possibly can be changed if you went into white balance and changed the settings as you wish. Now, in this scene, you do get to see a lot more detail on the Samsung. Obviously, it's a lot brighter, whereas the skin tones are definitely better on the LG. And I think if I was edging one way, it would definitely be towards the LG. But what's your thoughts? Now, certainly one mode that I wouldn't recommend for watching movies is Intelligent mode, because it just gives a brightness and a highlight which just isn't realistic. As you can see here, it literally oversaturates and just cranks up the brightness to a level that becomes almost unwatchable when you compare it to the color accuracy on the LG C1. And here you can see that the colours are again just a little bit more washed out, it seems, because the brightness is far too high. And again, I'm not sure whether you're getting this over the video, but certainly when I was watching it live, the video of the C1 is just far more detailed and just contrast is superb compared to the blown out image of the Samsung. So it's a reason not to go down that road. Now, what I did try is to try and get the two as similar as possible, and in just standard cinema mode on the Samsung, that was almost as good as I could get it. Now, the black levels, if you look at the black levels of these two scenes, then it is quite incredible how good a job that Samsung does. And even in this colourful scene, it's doing a really good job. This by far is the best Samsung that I've seen in terms of colour accuracy and producing black levels. It is absolutely superb at doing that. Now, what this does make me think is the LG G1 or the Sony A90J is definitely going to be something which lifts this to another level, being OLED and being significantly brighter. So I haven't got the hands on any of those ones yet, but I hope to get them pretty soon. But as you can see in these scenes, the level of detail in this scene, for instance, the Samsung almost looks like it's got better black levels than the OLED, which we know is absolutely impossible. What's your thoughts on these scenes? It is absolutely amazing how well that Samsung does. Okay, now on to the brightness of these two. Now, there is no getting away from it. The Samsung is a world apart when you look at the maximum brightness that you can get. As you can see in this image. Now, I tried to scroll through and get close to the top brightness on the C1. And as you can see, I'm going from expert mode to filmmaker mode to game mode to vivid. It really doesn't get anywhere near, and this is just a quick demonstration. But it was when I was doing that, and if you've seen my previous video, you'll know that I then encountered a problem with the Samsung, and that unfortunately is DSE, dirty screen effect, or vertical banding. And I'm not sure whether you can tell, but there's certain bands that are appearing on the Samsung on the left here. There's almost like a square grid. And in my previous video I included some photographs which I'll show in just a second, and they clearly showed the problem that some of these Samsung TVs have, that as you can see the slightly darker scenes in these colours, you get to see that grid where you don't see anything out of ordinary on the LG. It really is so disappointing. Last year I already had 3 Samsung TVs that went back because there was problems with DSE. Now don't get me wrong, it doesn't affect every set. Last year's model that I had, the Q90T, was superb, not a sign. But as these photos show, this is the banding that you get, or that I had, on the brand new QN90a. So guys, I'm certainly not saying don't get the TV, but what I am saying is the moment you get it, turn it on and do a screen uniformity test. Check for DSE and vertical and horizontal banding, and if there's any issue at all, then send it back. And as you can see from looking at the OLED on the right, okay, it might be a lot dimmer than the Samsung on the left, but that screen uniformity is absolutely perfect. There is no issue at all. Okay, so now let's look at general TV watching. And what we're talking about here is what most people do all of the time. Normal HD and non-HD content. Not talking about HDR, we're just talking about watching satellite TV in my case. Now, I think there is one very clear winner in this test, and that is the Samsung QN90a. It does a brilliant job of upscaling. The blacks look brilliant, but the brightness is just something that you really need to see to appreciate. And although I've had the LG C1 longer and I was very happy with it, it almost seems dull compared to the Samsung. And the Samsung in this environment doesn't seem overly bright. It doesn't seem too garishly, too bloomy. It just seems perfect. It does a brilliant job. Now, in a really dark room, the LG C1 OLED is probably going to be as good and you're not going to notice any difference. But if you've got a bright room, and that extra brightness of the QN90a is definitely going to be something that you appreciate. And having them side by side was really the only time that I fully appreciated it. And that is definitely one area where the Samsung completely just trounces, in my opinion, all over the LG, and that surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. The blacks look great, the colours are vibrant and vivid. It's just a better picture, and that is hats off to Samsung for being able to produce that on what is a QLED rather than an OLED TV. Now, unfortunately, the superiority of the Samsung in regular TV content isn't transferred over to HDR content. And in my opinion, the LG C1 does a far better job of any type of movie in HDR. The black of the OLED just seems even better in HDR content, and it seems that the Samsung struggles a little bit more to reach those levels. And although it's still a little bit brighter, that almost seems to highlight the black levels not being quite as good. Now, don't get me wrong, they are still better than they have ever been on any other Samsung. But this image here, for instance, look at the left compared to the right, and I think that most people will agree the right image just is the better quality image. It's close, but definitely the LG C1 wins it, in my opinion, on HDR content. So the summary of this video is going to be really interesting because the next thing we're talking about is gaming. So I've tried to do this scene as similarly as I can. The PS5 is plugged into both. They're both in game mode and game optimizer on the LG C1 and the new game mode setting on the Samsung. And again, I have to say, by far the Samsung does a better job in gaming. The colours are amazing. That just jumps off of the screen. Anything on here which is looking a little bit too bright, you're not really seeing in reality. This is because I've spliced two video streams together because I've had to get them as close as I can. And when you actually are operating and playing the game, well, I've been playing this game for a few weeks on the C1. I didn't think there was a problem, but I'm seeing so much more detail on the Samsung than I saw on the C1. This freeze frame that I'm going to give you now just explains that. Look at the difference. Who would have thought that the Samsung on the left would be like that compared to the LG C1 on the right? Absolutely unbelievable, and this was very much apparent in most games I played. When it comes to the design of the TVs, well, I think this is pretty much a draw. Both of these TVs look absolutely stunning. The design of them, I just love. Whether they're on or off, they look brilliant. I love the central stand with the Samsung, and this year it's almost like a matte black, which looks amazing. And it also is high enough so that you can put a soundbar underneath and it won't obscure any of the TV. That could be a key difference for you because on the LG you can't do that. The other thing that is brilliant on both TVs are viewing angles. With the Samsung you do get that extra film which is supposed to enhance that. I couldn't really see too much difference. The benefit on the Samsung though is because of its anti-reflective layer, you don't see reflections quite as much as you do on the LG, and it's still super thin. The LG definitely beats it for thinness, certainly at the top half anyway. It looks unbelievable. If anything, I think that the design now, this needs to be probably the last year of this exact same design, and next year maybe we'll see a different one from LG. But can you see what I mean about the stand? You can't put a soundbar, it's literally only about 1 inch off the actual surface that it sits on, and so therefore it's a lot harder to get a soundbar underneath, and that's something which you might want to bear in mind depending on whether you're going to be going down that road. If you're not, don't worry, it looks incredible. So guys, I'm going to give my own scoring system to both of these two TVs. Having paid full retail value for them, no one is asking me to say anything good or bad about them. I'm giving them both a 4 on price. They're both very similarly priced. They're still quite expensive for a lot of people, and maybe you need to still consider whether you're going to buy last year's model, but let's assume that you're going for this year's. I'm giving them 4 out of 5 on price. General TV picture quality, well, nowadays upscaling and general HD is amazing. I do prefer the Samsung, I have to say, so that's why I've given the Samsung a 5 and the LG a 4. In terms of black level details, now this is going to surprise a lot of people, I'm giving them both the same score because in a lot of scenes I really couldn't see any difference. The one area, sadly, that Samsung, in my opinion, is still letting people down is the build quality and reliability issue. There are lots of reports of DSE, dirty screen effect, and vertical banding. That's something which they really need to try and get a grip off. Other than that, upscaling, 5 out of 5. HDR content, I'm giving that slightly to LG because I thought they did a better job of that. But I am going to give gaming to Samsung. It was far better on the Samsung. I really enjoyed the gaming experience from them. And so overall, it's very close. But the LG literally just pips it, and mainly that is down to, and then the only real reason is down to reliability. And had the Samsung not had that dirty screen effect issue or that banding issue, it would have won. So well done to LG. I think that you've just literally scraped it with this victory, and as I said, I'm really disappointed with the Samsung because had that not had that issue, that would have been my probably best choice TV so far that I've seen, certainly in 2021. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope that this has helped you make that buying decision, and I look forward to seeing you on the next.